Lan Anh opened the door slowly, the scent of rain spilling into her apartment. Her mother smiled, practiced and brittle, eyes scanning every corner of the room. "You look good," she said, stepping inside without waiting for permission. Lan Ann's pulse quickened, but she kept her voice calm. "It's late, Mom. What brings you here after all this time?" Behind her, the young man shuffled in, shaking off his wet jacket. "This is Min," her mother said, voice bright. "Your brother." Brother? The word felt foreign, heavy with years that never existed. Min glanced around, unimpressed. "Nice place," he muttered. "Kinda small." Lan Anh ignored him and walked to the kitchen, searching for composure. "Water or tea?" she asked. "Water's fine," her mother replied, perching on the couch like royalty. "You always were the responsible one," she added, tone half proud, half probing. Lan Anh set 2 glasses on the table. "Why are you really here?" Her mother sighed, eyes softening into a practiced sadness. "Min got into an international business program in Chicago. It's prestigious." Lan Anh waited. She already knew the rhythm of this story. "But tuition and living costs are high," her mother continued. "We were hoping you could help, just until he graduates." "How much?" Lan Ann's voice was steady, almost cold. Her mother hesitated. 4,000 a month would cover everything. Min looked up from his phone. "Plus maybe a car. Public transport's trash." Lan Anh felt her stomach twist, anger and disbelief knotting together. "You haven't spoken to me in 22 years, she said quietly. "And now you want me to bankroll your son's education." Her mother's smile wavered. "Family helps family, Lan Anh. Did you remember that when you left Dad and me behind?" The air thickened, heavy with unspoken blame. Min shifted uncomfortably, but said nothing. Her mother leaned forward, voice syrupy. "I made mistakes, but this is different. It's for your brother's future. Don't let my past cloud your heart." Lan Anh stood, crossing her arms. "I'll think about it." "That's all I ask," her mother said, relief flickering in her eyes. They lingered, only long enough for the room to feel smaller. When the door finally closed, silence rushed back like a wave. Lan Anh locked it, fingers trembling despite her composure. Her reflection in the window looked like someone else, older, colder. She walked to her desk, opened her laptop and froze. The banking dashboard glowed faintly on screen, still logged in. 3 failed login attempts appeared in the activity log. Each from an unrecognized device, time-stamped 20 minutes before the doorbell. Her throat tightened. She whispered to the empty room, "No, not possible." But deep down, she already knew. They hadn't come for family. They had come for access. For money. For control. The rain outside intensified, tapping against the glass like a warning. Lan Anh closed the laptop slowly, breath uneven. Whatever this was, it had only just begun. Lan Anh sat at her desk, the glow of the screen painting her face pale blue. She reopened her banking app, tracing each failed login like a heartbeat out of sync. 3 attempts, all from unknown devices, all within 20 minutes of her mother's visit. Her mind replayed every second, the knock, the forced smiles, the eyes that scanned too long. She picked up her phone and called her father. He answered on the second ring, his voice warm and worn. "Dad, has anyone accessed your email lately?" A pause, then confusion. "Not that I know of. Why?" Lan Ann's fingers tapped the desk, sharp and nervous. "I think someone used it. There's a message forwarded from your account to mine." He exhaled slowly. "I did get a password reset alert last month. I thought it was spam." Her stomach sank. That wasn't spam. Silence stretched between them, heavy and electric. "Was it her?" he asked finally. "Yes," Lan Anh said, "and him." She could almost hear his heart drop on the other end. "I'm sorry, kiddo. I should have seen it coming." "It's not your fault," she whispered, even though part of her wanted to scream. After hanging up, she opened her email and began to dig. Every trace, every log, Every odd timestamp became a clue. One message stood out, a copy of her salary statement forwarded from her father's inbox. Attached was the document she sent HR months ago. Her hands clenched. That was how they knew. She opened a blank document and began typing notes, fast and focused. Evidence, sequence, motive. Her training as a security analyst took over, turning fear into precision. The clock ticked past midnight, but her mind refused rest. Outside, rain drummed against the balcony, steady as her heartbeat. A soft knock startled her. She checked the peephole. Mrs. Hoa, her elderly neighbor. "Sorry, dear," the woman said, clutching her robe. "I saw that woman at your mailbox." Lan Anh blinked. "When?" "This afternoon." She tried the handle, looked inside, then came back with a young man. The words chilled her blood. She thanked the neighbor, locked the door again, and added another note. "Mailbox tampering for 00 p.m. Witness confirmed." Her phone buzzed with a security alert. Unusual login attempt detected. She didn't click the link. She called the bank instead. The representative confirmed 3 failed attempts within the last hour. All traced back to a hotel IP in downtown Austin. The Westgate. Lan Anh closed her eyes. That was where they were staying. By 2 a.m., she had changed every password she owned. 2-factor authentication, credit freeze, new firewall rules. Her kitchen smelled of stale coffee and rain. She labeled a new folder on her desktop, Dung and Min. Screenshots, timestamps, call logs. Her digital fortress was rising. Fear lingered, but beneath it pulsed something sharper. Resolve. They wanted her vulnerable. Instead, they had awakened the one part of her that never sleeps. The part that knows how to trace, expose, and fight back. Morning came gray and heavy, the kind of light that made everything look uncertain. Lan Anh scrolled through her phone, messages piling up like debris after a storm. Her mother's name flashed on the screen again and again. First polite reminders, then guilt-laced pleas, then sharp accusations. "You've changed," one read. "Money made you cold." Another followed seconds later. "Family doesn't ignore family." Lan Anh muted the thread, heart thudding in rhythm with each buzz. By noon, her social feed was on fire. A post from her mother's account, a photo of Min looking defeated. The caption read, "Some children forget their roots when success blinds them." Hundreds of reactions, comments from distant relatives she barely knew. The narrative had been rewritten, and she was now the villain. Her phone rang, Aunt Phuong's voice trembling on the other end. "Your mother's heartbroken. Can't you help your brother just a little?" Lan Anh closed her eyes. "Did she tell you why she left when I was 10? Silence. Then a sigh. "She said you never forgave her." "I had nothing to forgive," Lan Anh whispered. "She just never came back." She hung up before the ache could spill out. That afternoon, at her favorite cafe, she tried to drown thoughts in caffeine. The rain had stopped, but the air felt thick with something waiting. When the door opened, she looked up and froze. Her mother stood there, heels clicking, hair perfect, eyes glinting. "Lan Anh," she called, voice loud enough for heads to turn. "I've been trying to reach you. We need to talk." Every conversation around them paused. Lan Anh straightened. "This isn't the place." Her mother ignored her. "You make 6 figures and won't help your own brother." Gasps rippled through the cafe. The barista's sympathetic glance burned hotter than the coffee in her hand. Lan Anh set down her cup. "Stop making scenes." "You're ungrateful," her mother hissed. "You should thank me for giving you life." Lan Anh didn't respond. She walked out into the dull afternoon light. Behind her, the echoes of accusation followed like shadows. By evening, screenshots of her mother's post had spread further. Cousins, old neighbors, even a former teacher had shared it. Her phone buzzed again, this time a text from Min. "Mom's crying because of you. Grow up. Pay what you owe." She stared at the message until her vision blurred. Then she took a screenshot, and saved it under evidence. Her resolve hardened with every keystroke. That night, she drafted an email to Lawyer Bach. Subject line: family harassment documentation. She attached screenshots, call logs, timestamps, everything. When she hit send, the weight in her chest shifted. Not gone, but lighter. Outside, the city hummed with quiet indifference. Inside, Lan Anh brewed tea and watched the steam rise. They had turned family into warfare. But she wasn't a child anymore. She was the firewall they couldn't breach. The park was quiet, wrapped in a thin veil of morning mist. Lan Anh sat at a picnic table, phone hidden in her jacket pocket, recording. She watched her mother approach, heels sinking slightly into the damp grass. "Thank you for meeting me," her mother began, voice trembling just enough to sound sincere. Lan Anh didn't reply. "I know things got heated," her mother continued, "but we're family, we can fix this." Lan Ann's gaze stayed steady. "You hacked my father's email." The older woman blinked, feigning confusion. "What? That's ridiculous." "I traced the IP address," Lan Anh said. "It came from your hotel." For a heartbeat, silence cracked the air. Then came the soft laugh, low and practiced. "You're imagining things." Lan Anh leaned forward. "Stop pretending. You're here for money, not forgiveness." Her mother's expression shifted, warmth replaced by sharp calculation. "Fine," she said. "Call it what you want, but Min deserves a chance." "He deserves to learn responsibility," Lan Anh replied, voice like steel. Her mother's eyes narrowed. "You think you're better than us now?" "No," Lan Anh said, "just different." She stood, brushing rain from her sleeves. "This conversation is over." Her mother reached out, grasping her wrist. "Don't turn your back on family." Lan Anh pulled free. "You did that 20 years ago." She walked away, the sound of her mother's shouts fading behind her. By evening, the sky over Austin had turned the color of iron. Lan Ann's father arrived at her apartment, duffel bag in hand. He hugged her tightly, smelling of old coffee and rain. "She came here, didn't she?" he asked. Lan Anh nodded, and she's still lying. They sat together in silence, the storm outside building again. Then her phone buzzed, an alert from her bank. Attempted transfer, $12,000. Her heart pounded as she opened the notification. The device name glared back, Min Nguyen. She forwarded the report to Lawyer Bach without hesitation. Another alert followed minutes later, 8,000 more. She hovered over the report fraud button. Her father watched quietly. "You sure about this, kid?" She exhaled, completely. Her finger pressed the screen, sealing the decision. For the first time, fear didn't follow it. The next morning, her inbox filled with automated messages. Unauthorized login, two-factor authentication active, account secured. Lan Anh logged the timestamps, every one a victory. They had tried to steal her money. Now she would take back her power. She brewed coffee, the bitter scent grounding her resolve. From the window, the storm began to break. For years, she had chased her mother's approval like a ghost. Now she understood. It was never love, only leverage. The game had changed. And this time, she was the one setting the rules. The phone rang just past noon, breaking the silence of Lan Ann's apartment. A woman's voice spoke softly, familiar but distant. "This is Thao, your mother's sister." Lan Anh straightened, suspicion curling in her chest. "What do you want?" "I'm calling to warn you," Thao said. "This isn't the first time they've done this." The words hung heavy, like thunder before rain. "What do you mean?" Lan Anh asked. Thao sighed, the sound old and tired. "Your mother and Min pulled the same trick with my daughter. They asked her to co-sign a loan. He defaulted in 2 months, ruined her credit." Lan Anh felt a cold stillness settle inside her. "So this was planned," she murmured. "They've done it for years," Thao confirmed. "You're just the newest target." "Thank you for telling me," Lan Anh said quietly. "You deserve to know," her aunt replied. She's spinning stories again. Telling the family you're punishing her for old mistakes. Lan Anh clenched her jaw. Then I'll show them the truth. After the call, she opened her laptop and began compiling evidence. Emails, login logs, transfer attempts, all neatly labeled. Her father arrived an hour later, carrying a box of documents. Found these in the attic, he said, setting it on the table. Inside were old court papers, child support checks never cashed, letters returned unopened, and bank slips marked void. Lan Anh flipped through them slowly, each page a wound reopened. She rewrote history, her father said bitterly, but paper doesn't lie. That night, Lawyer Bach joined them on a video call. He scanned through the digital files, his eyes narrowing in approval. We're ready, he said. The evidence shows a clear pattern. Will it be enough? Lan Anh asked. More than enough. The court will see the intent to defraud and harass. Her phone buzzed, another text from Min. This is getting out of hand. Mom pushed too far. I didn't mean for it to go here. Lan Anh stared at the screen, unsure if it was guilt or manipulation. She took a screenshot and saved it anyway. Her father looked over. The first crack, he said softly. Once they turn on each other, she'll spiral. As if summoned, the phone rang again, her mother's voice shrill with fury. You turned the family against me, even thou. Lan Anh placed the phone on speaker, the recorder app running quietly. You did that yourself, Mom, she said. You'll regret this, I swear, her mother shouted before hanging up. Lan Anh exhaled slowly, staring at the quiet phone. This isn't family anymore, she whispered. The lawyer's voice cut through her thoughts. Stay the course, document everything. By midnight, the folder on her desktop had doubled in size. Evidence filled the screen, screenshots, recordings, bank statements, and texts. Each file was a thread in the net she was weaving. And soon, that net would close. They had mistaken her silence for weakness. But the storm was shifting. And this time, it was moving in her favor. The courthouse smelled of rain and disinfectant when Lan Anh arrived. She clutched the binder of evidence so tightly, her knuckles turned white. Lawyer Bach met her by the steps, calm and composed. Remember, he said, truth doesn't need emotion, it needs order. Inside, the air was sharp with whispers and tension. Her mother sat on the opposite bench, dressed in gray, eyes rimmed red. Min beside her, face pale, hands buried in his pockets. The judge entered, voice firm, calling the case to order. Lan Anh Nguyen versus Dung Tran and Min Nguyen. The sound of her name echoed through the room like a final test. Bach began, his tone even and deliberate. He presented the first file, bank records, timestamps, IP traces. Each point landed with the weight of undeniable proof. Lan Anh was called to the stand. Her heart pounded, but her voice held steady. She described the night her mother reappeared, the strange login attempts, the threats. She spoke of the manipulation, the guilt, the storm of lies online. Her mother shifted in her seat, eyes narrowing with resentment. Min avoided her gaze entirely. Why did you refuse to help them financially? The opposing lawyer asked. Because help shouldn't come at the cost of self-destruction, Lan Anh replied. The room fell silent for a beat too long. Bach handed over Exhibit D, texts and recordings legally obtained. One message flashed on the projector. If we push hard enough, she'll pay to make us disappear. Gasps rippled across the courtroom. The judge's expression hardened. Min buried his face in his hands. His voice broke when questioned. She said it would just be easy money. I didn't think she'd go this far. Dung glared at him, the mask of maternal sorrow cracking at last. The judge leaned forward. Enough. Her gavel struck once. The court finds sufficient evidence of harassment and attempted fraud. Protective order granted for 2 years. No contact, no approach within 500 feet. Each word landed like an exhale of justice. Lan Anh lowered her head, tears pricking but unshed. Outside, Sunlight cut through the lingering clouds. Bach handed her the official documents, his voice steady. You're safe now, and if they violate it, the law will follow. Her father placed a hand on her shoulder. Proud of you, kiddo, he said softly. She smiled faintly, the weight of months lifting from her spine. From across the plaza, she saw her mother arguing with her lawyer. For the first time, their chaos didn't touch her. That night, her apartment felt different, still warm, her own again. She brewed tea and opened the balcony door. The city lights shimmered, quiet and forgiving. Her phone buzzed with a single message from an unknown number. You won, hope it was worth it. She blocked it without hesitation. Some victories didn't roar, they simply whispered. You're free. 6 months later, sunlight poured through the open balcony doors. Lan Anh set the table, laughter drifting from the kitchen. Her father stirred soup, humming an old song from her childhood. The apartment no longer felt like a fortress, it felt like home. Lawyer Bach arrived with a bottle of wine, smiling easily. To peace, he said, raising his glass. They toasted quietly, the clinking sound soft but sure. After dinner, her father spread retirement papers across the table. You helped me more than you know, he said. Lan Anh smiled. We helped each other. Later, when the night grew still, her phone buzzed once. A message from an unknown number appeared. I'm in town next week. Can we talk? She read it twice, heart steady this time. Then she typed her reply. I'm not ready, but I wish you well. The cursor blinked before the message sent. She closed her eyes, feeling only calm. Love no longer meant sacrifice. Boundaries no longer felt like walls. From the balcony, the city shimmered in quiet gold. For the first time, peace wasn't borrowed, it was hers to keep.